Muta marriage. What is muta marriage? Muta marriage. Muta marriage, it means temporary marriage. It means muta marriage is a temporary marriage. It is for a fixed, permanently fixed time only, period only. It is for a permanently fixed time or period only. This is the very, very important sentence you must write. This is the temporary marriage with fixed period. What is this fixed period? It may be for few hours, half day, full one complete day, or fortnight, or a month, or say 6 months, or ultimately to the maximum it may go 1 year or so. So, fixation of the period for this marriage is a must. And other than this, there seems to be no provisions. It will run like a simple, valid marriage only. It will run like a simple, valid marriage only. The one very important constituent of muta marriage, which is not in practice in Indian vicinity, except one or two sub-schools of Shia, but it is widely been accepted and in practice in the area of Saudi Arabia. So, muta marriage is a temporary marriage and it is for a fixed period. And this type of marriage is recognized only under Shia. Rarely. Itna Ashriya school is there in India. Somewhere in Gujarat, Rajasthan, that belt. Those people probably follow this cult. So, coming to the muta marriage, why it has come into existence? Because Muslim men has to go on caravan, that is on business tour, for months together and years together, to an unknown place where their requirements, needs are not being taken care of by the counterpart, say, wife. So this, in order to fulfill the need of the businessman during his days of business tour, that too in the vicinity of desert area, the Arabian thought of following or observing the muta marriage where the men will give his proposal to a particular lady to whom he is very much liked, and if she accepted, the marriage will be solemnized without any kaji or any formality. They can stay together, cohabulate together, and they can run the days as a mutually understood couples. But here everything will follow the valid marriage system. But one thing is, he has to fix the period. Up to what date, up to what day he used to be with her. And then it is not a reversible one. he has to go away, or he has to be away from her from the date which had been already mentioned. That is fixed. Mutamad. So what are the essentials? That is most important. Yes, occurrence due to business tour. Inevitable. Instead of going for prostitution and other things where the health of the fellow will be deteriorated, so it is better way to engulf this kind of system. Okay, it is good. What are the essential? At part 2, a valid marriage only, he has to propose, she has to accept, and in between, dower amount, the amount of dower must be fixed. It must be fixed. And that fixed amount must be accepted by the lady. If the dower amount is not fixed at that time, then one can assume that it is nothing but a valid marriage of Sunnis or Shias. So the amount of dower must be fixed. If it is not fixed, then the marriage becomes a void also. But or else with the proper dowering system, it may become valid also. If the marriage is consummated, half of the dower amount should be paid to the wife. Total sum, in the total sum, half of the amount must be paid to her to the consummation of marriage. Third point here is the period of cohabitation, that is the duration of the meta-marriage, must be fixed. If the period is not fixed, then it is not a meta-marriage. For meta-marriage, fixation of the duration is a must. But it becomes a normal marriage. Then you have to give the dower, she has to follow the iddat, everything will follow like that. Fourth point, as an essential commodity to the muta marriage is, a Shia can marry under this muta marriage, which is often called as a valid muta marriage, even with a non-Muslim or non-Kitabi woman. A Shia can marry under this valid muta marriage even a non-Muslim or non-Kitabi woman. But at any cost, Shia female cannot marry a man belonging to other than Muslim community. Fifth point in this respect is, muta marriage comes to an end when the fixed period is over. It's automatic closure. It's automatic closure, I may say. The muta marriage comes to an end when the fixed period is over. Then, to the expiry of this period, on mutual ground, sitting together and coming to a new agreement, either of the spouse can extend the date furtherance. So, even after the expiry of the fixed period, if they live together and it is presumed that the term of muta marriage is extended, so it has no problem. Lawfully it has been accepted. And they can go ahead with this muta marriage system without any further hindrance. Sixth point under the essential of meta-marriage, which you may expect in the examination, that is, divorce cannot take place in meta-marriage. No divorce. Since this is a temporary one, if you want to cohabitate, yes, you can cohabitate. Or else you can come out. An agreement, whether even if she would like to go away, yes, she can also go away. Or if he wants to go away, yes, he can also come out of the meta-marriage precinct. So, divorce cannot take place in meta-marriage. But the husband, by paying the full amount of dower, can put an end to the marriage even before the expiry of that duration or term or period. Seventh point, which is seems to be the last one under meta-marriage, is the children born out of meta-marriages are to be considered as legitimate. Children born out of meta-marriages are to be considered as legitimate. What does it mean? Parentage will be there. Maintenance, guardianship has to be given. More than that, succession, inheritance and the partition part will come to them. And they can inherit the property of the parents. Legitimacy is for this kind of benefit. Here they can inherit the property of the parents. But the wife and husband cannot inherit the property of each one. So, the property belonging to the wife cannot be inherited by the husband and in the vice versa. The meta-marriage is absolute. O-B-S-O-L-E-T, absolute. There is no significance. There is no symptom. So it is dissolved. It is totally no practice. No practice of meta-marriage is in existence in Indian Peninsula. However, it belongs to the Shia community of Saudi Arabia. So these are the very important. In question, in examination, explain meta-marriage with its essentiality. Then you have to write up to this portion. And coming to maintenance, I will take this preemption later. Law of maintenance, nafka. What is nafka? Law of maintenance. Maintenance is providing safety, security to our kith and kin, beloved person, and whom they are solely dependent on us. For example, in a family setup, father being the head of the family, he has to take care of every children, whether daughter or son, and even having father, grandfathers, grandmother, mother, everybody, all constituent of the family members to be looked after by the earning capable personality on humanitarian ground. Humanity will play a vital role. When there is no humanity, all inhuman thing will come up. Then only the law will come to the picture. It will come, it will tame, it will trim, everything will be done. And just for justice, again every conflict will start. So, law of maintenance is not a burden. Law of maintenance is the responsibility endorsed to the earning member or head of the family. In Muslim family background, father happened to be the head of the family. He is the sole responsible for taking care of all the family members belonging to his family unit. And also exception is there. Among the family member, where one or the other fellow is capable of earning for himself, then the father need not to take care of him. So what to take care of him? Provide security, safety to them at all hours of their growth, irrespective of gender and age factor. So by providing food, clothing, shelter, education, health, he has to take care of their future also. For that he has to meet with financial support. So capability will come only with the earning capacity. And both put together, you must have some affection, affiliation and humanity to endorse and endure with this responsibility. So in Muslim family, father is only one entity and a responsible person, whether to his capability or incapability or any other thing, but he must maintain his family members. In case of male child, he has to maintain that child. Up to 7 years is the minimum one, and up to his education level is closes or completes. And second one, in respect of girl, daughter, he has to maintain her till she gets her puberty or she got her marriage over. In respect of wife, he has to support her. He has to coordinate her, cooperate her. The term maintenance does not been there. He has to cooperate with her, coordinate with her. Either she or he will carry out day-to-day activities on cooperation. And this cooperation is a must in the cohabitation. More than this, the same husband who is the head of the family of Muslim, he has to take care of the dependents. That comes under liability, not under strict compliance provision rules of maintenance. Liability towards wife, liability for relatives, for relatives, and maintenance of children. Liability, that is a inevitable part of looking after the wife as well as the relative. In the relative only the father, grandfather, ascendants, descendants, distant, laterals, everybody will come, irrespective of gender and their capacity. So this is a very important one. Maintenance of wife and children is a primary duty of a Muslim person under this Muslim law. A Muslim is bound to provide and entitled to receive maintenance from his ascendants or descendants. Only persons who are indigent and needy are entitled to maintain. Those who are in need and those who are entitled for being the either son or daughter, so they are to be maintained. The right of maintenance changes according to the various condition. This is not a bound duty. However, it's a responsibility, and it has a stages, phases. According to the phases and stages, it may obsolete. So that's so regarding maintenance of wife. This is the very important question, and even today it is not being corrected absolutely. How to maintain? What are the practices? What Quran says? What legal formalities says? What individual man says in his family? Why it differs from one family to other? Every question has to be answered during the maintenance of wife. Whether a wife has property or not, whether she is educated or not, whether she is very healthy or ill healthy, whether she is earning or not, even to her earning more than to her husband, she need not to maintain any of her own children in the family on compulsory and regular basis. She need not to. Even Stridhana, what we say, the woman estate, belongs to the lady, need not to be spent upon the maintenance of her children or any other family members, even inclusive of mother-in-law, father-in-law and husband. She did not. Her part is only for herself. No one should cheat her. No one come and snatch her property. It is such a thing. Even the responsibility of maintaining family members, not only the family member, her own son, her own daughter need not to be compelled under any responsibility lawfully. On humanitarian ground, on her own interest, on her own over enthusiasm, she can come up and take care of those things. But there is no compulsion. It is the burden of the Muslim man as a husband in the family. He must take care of it. Whether a wife has property or not, the wife has an absolute right to maintain. She has to be maintained along with other children. The husband is bound to maintain her, taking care of day-to-day activities. He must incur such of the amount which he had incurred the day before to that one. What is the maintenance in respect of wife? He has to, that Muslim man or husband has to incur that sum of amount on his wife which he had occurred a day late, a day faster to that one, a day. That is. Husband is bound to maintain his wife under the following situations. What are they? If she has attained puberty, if she had attained her puberty, thereon he must look after the wife under maintenance. Next, if she allows free access to herself at all lawful times, that is, it goes like this. As a wife, he has to maintain her. He must see that she must be happy in the family vicinity. And also she must be considered one among the children. No special category could be given. If there is any disparity, discrimination or dispute comes and husband refuses to maintain her without giving any reason unlawfully, then she may sue him for maintenance. She may avail Section 125 of CRPC. Section 125 of CRPC will help her to get maintenance amount, alimony, from the husband, whether he is divorced or is away, in that way. So the court may allow for the maintenance not exceeding a prescribed limit is there. According to the situation of the family, the court will come and court will help. Quran is also supporting that stage. Sooner to the divorce or talaq, iddat period, it will go for 90 days, 140 days, 180 days, 230 days. In that way it will go. So during iddat period, listening to the talaq word by the wife, she has to remain in the house of her divorced wife only, husband only. In the house of husband only she must stay, and she must observe iddat. What is iddat? It's a seclusion. And seclusion and an attempt to attain purity of her body. This is the iddat period. So, iddat is an interval which the woman observes between the termination of her marriage, either due to death or divorce. That is termination of marriage either to the death or divorce of one matrimonial alliances and the commencement of another one. Only by observing iddat she will be ready to go for remarriage. So in that period she will remain seclusion, that is alone, and abstain from marrying another person. So during such criticality, she must have to be maintained by the ex-husband only, that to keeping her in his own accommodation or house. For that few important questions are there. One is, a woman is entitled to maintain during the period of iddat if the husband divorces her after the consummation of marriage. Marriage must have completed and divorce occurs. Then she has to observe iddat and husband has to give her maintenance. That is the most primary thing to be observed. Second one, if the wife is divorced, without consummation of marriage, she is entitled to maintain until she is informed of the divorce. If the wife is divorced without consummation of marriage, she is entitled to maintain until she is informed of the divorce. She is somewhere there in her maternal uncle or mother's house. And now only she is becoming elder, or she got her puberty. And up to this time, no consummation of marriage would have taken place. So in that period, she is entitled for up to this period, she is entitled. Further, if marriage life will come into picture, nothing will happen. If not, if she is going to refuse that marriage particularly or so, then until she heard of her divorce from that husband, she has to be maintained from that husband only. Number 3, a widow cannot claim maintenance. A widow cannot claim maintenance during the period of iddat after her husband's death. A widow cannot claim maintenance during the period of iddat after her husband's death. Iddat will come because of divorce. Divorce will occur as usual by listening to the talaq or pronouncing to the talaq by the man. So owing to the talaq, yes, she is observing until that either completion, yes, she has to be maintained by the husband only, whether he is ex or this one, current. But if that fellow dies after pronouncing the talaq, then she need not to be given any maintenance. Fourth point is, if the husband is a minor, unable to consummate because of many reasons, but the wife is an adult, then she is entitled for maintenance. Fifth point here is, if the minor has no source of income, man being a minor and he has a family set up with children and other, everything is okay. Accidentally or incidentally or habitually, yes, he has become incapable and he could not able to earn anything. Then the minor has no source of income. His father has to maintain him. And any person in the family is not capable of maintaining themselves, then the burden of maintaining comes over the head of the father only. So then, the wife is not entitled to maintain under the following circumstances, except iddat and up to her attaining the puberty, okay. Next, the wife is not entitled to maintain under the following circumstances is most important in Muslim law. Circumstances is most important in Muslim law. Owing to the situation only, they have formed the provisions. If the wife refuses to live with the husband unreasonably, this is most important. Unreasonably, if the wife does not like to live with her husband, then he need not to maintain her anymore. Second one, when she is not obedient and unjustifiable behaves, when she is not obedient, sincere and good at her behavior, so all put together, she need not to be looked after by the husband. Third point is, due to her own fault, due to her own fallacies, egoism, if she separates herself from the husband with reason, without reason, with cause, without cause, then also the husband need not to support her by giving any maintenance factum. Next, fourth one is, if she becomes a widow, that is automatically no one will. Shabanu case, this term has to be accepted. Initially, even Supreme Court did not announce or notice this one. Even Supreme Court of India did not notice the very simple sentence. If she becomes a widow, she is not entitled to maintain under Muslim law. This has caused very, very, very miserable position to the whole of the population of India. And fifth one, in the case of illegal marriage, irregular, not irregular or void type, it's illegal marriages. In the case of an illegal marriage also, the wife need not to be maintained by the money of the man of the family. Sixth one is, when the wife is very young and incapable of sexual intercourse, when she is very young, under her puberty, no compulsion, no coercion, no force for the consummation of marriage. And if it is the case, yes, allow her to be free. Don't maintain her. Let her be free. In that tune, he need not to maintain her, and he has to allow her free. And coming to the last one, the seventh point in this respect, where the wife is not entitled to maintain under the Muslim law owing to the situations or the circumstances, is if she has been forcibly taken away by the another person, eloping or kidnapping, abducting. She has eloped from the husband and been imprisoned for commission of any offences. So all put together, these are all a kind of unlawful activities only, owing to her interest or compulsion. If it happens, then during those period, the period of her elopement, period of her abduction, kidnap, or she has been prosecuted by some unknown fellow at unknown point, and she was compelled to do some offences. Even for all this situation, being a real husband, he need not to maintain her. Even maintenance comes under agreements also. Coming to Shah Banu case, you please go through this Shah Banu case. It's very interesting in Muslim law. That too, in the part of maintenance, Shah Banu case will stand as very, very ideal. Because of her plight only, though Supreme Court has given many kind of directions, that was not healed by either the respondent Muhammad Ahmad or any fellow of Muslim community during those days of 1985, 86, 84, 85. So compulsorily, because it became a subject matter of agitation throughout the Indian peninsula, no one Muslim is following the Supreme Court guidelines. So inevitably the government, central government run by the then Rajiv Gandhi, they put forward a section, that is section 125 under CRPC, by passing Muslim Women Protection of Right and Divorce Act of 1986. By passing Muslim Women Protection of Rights and Divorce Act 1986. According to this act, the husband's liability to pay maintenance ceases once the dower amount is paid in full. Only this statement was compulsorily and very fluently being told by the Muhammad, the husband of Shah Banu, in the court hall. So even now it is accepted. According to this act, the husband liability to pay maintenance ceases once the dower is paid in full, and in the event that the divorced wife is unable to maintain herself, her relatives who are entitled to inherit her property must maintain her. And if she has no property, then the state Waqf board must maintain her. Secondly. Thirdly, section 125 of CRPC is applicable not only for Muslim women, for all the women who are in need of some alimony for maintenance purpose. So then that could be made applicable to the men. So coming to the maintenance of children, son and daughter. A father is liable to maintain his sons till they are minor, and to maintain his daughter till they are got married. One. Second, if the child has personal source of income, so that child need not to be take care of maintenance, need not to claim, he cannot claim maintenance from his father. If the father is very poor and unable to maintain the children, if the father is very poor and unable to maintain the children, then only the scenario of mother on humanitarian ground taking the charge of maintenance could occur, provided she has some potency, capability, earning source, etc., etc. More than all these, humanitarian ground, motherlyhood, she has to imbibe. Fourth one, if both the father and mother are infirm and very poor, then the grandfather has to maintain the children. Towards paternal ascendant or descendant, one has to come forward and take care of these children, inclusive of mother. If all put together in the living in the dwelling in the house. Only under special circumstances, a daughter is entitled to separate maintenance. If she refuses the offer to live with father, she cannot claim maintenance. Maintenance on special ground to the daughter will come only if she accepts to live with her father. If not, if she denies, maintenance will not come to her. Sixth and last point of this maintenance of children will, there are various views regarding maintenance during widowhood and divorce. Nowadays it has become an open topic. So there are many channels under which the widowhood as well as divorcees are being looked after under the matter. So coming to the very, very rarest of rare occasion where the maintenance by the Muslim man is not only towards his family members and wife, but here the very peculiar nature or the widely spread affinity one is maintenance of poor relatives. Poor relatives. It is not a saying, it is in practice. Such poor relatives who are not able to maintain themselves and who are entitled to inherit to the property of the persons are entitled to maintain from him. They are very close by relation, by blood. But now they are not dwelling with him, very closer to him. However, they are represented as his blood consanguinity. So then, owing to their poor level and relativity, yes, he has to afford his maintenance responsibility. Such relatives should be very close and within the prohibited degree of relationship. So the basis of liability to maintain is the relationship between the parties like father and children, spouses and grandparents, grandchildren, etc. Thus, the law of maintenance as per the Muslim law is very liberal.